Cost of Victory, Book 1 of the Unseen Scar series by C.R. Saxon. Chapter 25. General Samoltz. John straightened from a deep bow. It's an honor. A small woman with salted black hair smiled warmly. That smile accented her age with light lines around her dark eyes. Ah, John! How's your family? Are any of them here? They're well. Samuel and Oza are visiting. They'd be happy to greet you. I haven't seen little Samuel in years. Though, if you're here, he'll arrive soon. Turning to her nephew, the general continued. Ferdinand, your family, not a servant. Every citizen is your servant, General. Please stand. I'm your aunt first. There's no need to call me General. Despite her command, Ferdinand didn't move right away. How did he choose between what he'd been taught and what was expected of him at the moment? Nephew. As you wish, Lady General. Ferdinand's knees didn't want to straighten. Neither was his head happy being elevated so quickly. Suddenly Oya was beside him, that complete void steadying him. Why is Oya here? That question stuck in his brain and opened a floodgate of all the thoughts he'd been avoiding. Why was she helping him? Why was she by his side? She could now speak calm and well. There was no reason to stay with him. There was nothing else he could do for her. She had no more need of him, so why was she here? Aunt Tanalia, the general corrected. I've told you I'm your aunt before your general. Yes, ma'am? Was this respectful enough? Tanalia sighed and walked up to her nephew. Wow, you've certainly grown. Weren't you yay high? She held her hand below waist level while looking up to his face. It's been some time. At this comment, Oya studied him. Surprise loosened her jaw. Ferdinand hadn't noticed either. They'd been nearly the same height when they met, but now he had a good 4 inches on her, and was a head taller than his aunt. It's been, 5 years? 8, Lady General. My apologies for not honoring you at the gala. I'm aware of your mother's command. 8 years? Really? Yes, Lady General. It was at Prince Saphir's Rite of Ascension ceremony. Wow. Disbelief coated her face. When she moved toward her nephew, Ferdinand stepped away. Is something wrong? No, Lady General. Aunt Tanalia. She corrected, then gave him a hug. White-hot fire melted his skin. It was pathetic, but he turned his grimace into a smile. My! She held him at arm's length. You're skin and bones, child. Don't you eat? Yes, ma'am. I've even acquired my own personal chef of late. Ferdinand shot a nervous glance at John, begging to be released. That fire, it was spreading, consuming him. John, interesting. Releasing Ferdinand, she stepped over to her ally's son. Thank you for your generosity toward my nephew. I met your niece at the gala. Your family's lucky to have her. We're grateful Evelyn Oza chose to live with us. She chose? I was unaware a 5-year-old had a choice. Glancing at Ferdinand, John clarified. She was nervous, but Ferdinand spoke up for us. Nalia turned back to her nephew. You've met her? Do you know who her big brother is? She rambled on about him to everyone who talked to her. Ferdinand blushed and looked away. She started calling me that soon after we met. Odd. Why? Why? Ferdinand hadn't realized Oya was missing until she materialized in front of his aunt, startling them both. Because your nephew's the one who played with her while she was sick. Why didn't I think of that? May I ask your name, miss? The general smiled, intrigued and uncertain, and impressed. Call me Oya. Holding out her hand, Oya ignored the boys clearing their throats. And your title? I have none. Call me Oya, that's all. Tanalia looked the girl up and down, her curious expression directed toward the delicate hand held aloft. My name's Tanalia. It's nice to meet you, Oya. Likewise, Tanalia. Oya gasped when Ferdinand's razor-sharp elbow nudged her. What? I didn't mean to hurt her. But neither could he let her be ignorantly disrespectful. She's the general over North Chuzo's military forces. Remarkable. What an impressive rank to reach at such a young age. Thank you, Oya. That's sweet. Tanalia grinned. She didn't work her way up from a foot soldier. She was groomed for the position from birth. Blood-red eyebrows knit in confusion. I should have explained better when we talked. General is a royal position. It outranks the monarchs in my country. Ah, how powerful is a king if his military doesn't support him? Dark brown eyes appraised the girl. I know John, but I've never met you. Are you a scientist? Hearty laughter rang out, making both boys sweat. I try understanding, but the things they do are beyond me. Then how did you come to know my nephew? You're not a 12th year. No, Ferdinand, you've started your 13th year now. While Ferdinand nodded, Oya answered. I met him when Evelyn did. He taught me common. This answer confused her. Tanalia turned back to her nephew. What exactly did you do in South Chuzo? What did I do? I tortured our ally and failed everyone. Why do you care, John? You don't know her. You've never met her. You haven't even seen the world she lives in. Ferdinand's tone hinted heavily for his ally to leave this alone. He needs to back away. It's just beginning. She's going to get a whole lot worse. How can I not care? Sorrowing at another's suffering is natural. How cold are you? Feeling nothing after listening to her day in and day out? Considering his options, Ferdinand decided he'd force the warning. Painting on an amused smile, he answered, "You're right. She's getting weaker. I let her keep going today just to see how much. But this is nothing. Yes, she's tired, but she isn't in constant pain. She isn't suffering yet, and since there's no suffering, there's no reason for you to cry, Oishian or not." Ferdinand? That memory made him cringe. "I apologize, Lady General." "Aunt Tanalia." "Tanalia? I didn't know you were here." Samuel strolled up to his baby brother. "John, that performance was different." Picking up his baby brother like a rag doll, Ozar squeezed him. "Why are you still back here? Everyone else is gone." "You kept us waiting, baby brother," Samuel scolded playfully before smiling at Tanalia. "But I'm glad you did." And thus started a second reunion. The adults reverted to children, reliving old memories and catching up on current lives. Ferdinand and John found themselves staring in awe as they witnessed the phenomenon. But Oya, her entire being was fixed solidly on Ozar, and not just those intense green eyes, but a knowing grin. Whatever she saw in the giant, it had her full attention. No, that wasn't quite right. It was as if Oya found something she'd been looking for in a completely unexpected place. Coyness curled her shapely lips. Whatever it was, she approved. Strangely, it seemed Ozar had trouble looking at her. Whenever he glanced at Oya, a strange look took over his face, almost as if she was the only thing in the world he couldn't bring into focus. This was odd, but Ferdinand had other worries commanding his attention. Eventually they made their way to the boats. All the night-worthy craft were gone. Luckily, there was shelter and plenty of food. It didn't take long to build a fire on the sand, or for John to concoct a meal. The beach glittered, but couldn't outshine the beauty of the stars. Conversation, food, and laughter filled the remainder of the evening. There was only so much togetherness Ferdinand could take. Vaguely excusing himself, he headed into the auditorium and out the other side. A cool breeze accompanied him, until Oya was there beside him. "When did she... Please teach me how you do that." "Do what?" Exotic green eyes glinted madly before turning toward the stars. "Go completely unnoticed. No one sees you when you don't want to be seen." She only grinned. "I don't know if it can be taught." They walked along, enjoying the silence. Or Oya was. Ferdinand's mind agonized. What does she want? There's nothing else I can offer, so what? Being beside her was wonderful. There was just something... Seeing her, it made him smile. It felt amazing. There weren't words to describe it, simply because he'd never felt this way before. At the same time, not knowing what she wanted, what she expected, it was disconcerting. No one just spent time with him. No one bothered with him unless he was the only one who could provide what they needed. Even this stupid show, the moment it was over, everyone bolted. Except her. And John. But his ally didn't have a choice with healer Samuel and Ozar Hayo here. Oya, though, she was smart and talented and amazing. She didn't need him anymore. I should ask her, but would that offend her? He didn't want that, and he didn't want this to end, but what do I do? Is it wrong to pretend? Bare feet bolted toward a line of old trees. Oya climbed one, playfully leaping from branch to branch. "I don't understand," Ferdinand called from below. "What's your fascination with this?" "With what?" "Is there anything on these islands you haven't climbed?" Spiky red hair leaned down. "Nope, not that I found anyway. Climbing's fun and relaxing." "Breaking your neck is relaxing?" "See for yourself." Ferdinand shook his head. He grabbed the lowest branch and hoisted himself up. It'd been a decade since he climbed a tree. It was fun. "Look," she pointed. The view was magnificent. Water reflected the stars perfectly. A sweet, calm breeze pulled gently at his hair. "You're right. This is relaxing." "Are you happy seeing your aunt?" Oya tugged absent-mindedly at the chain around her neck. "Why wouldn't I be?" "You looked uncomfortable when she hugged you." "I don't like being touched. My family, we aren't the Artemises. Physical affection..." Ferdinand shook his head. "I wasn't expecting it." "You didn't have a problem with Evelyn." "Evelyn needed it. She was always surrounded by love, and..." Ferdinand choked and his lip quavered. Then suddenly she didn't have any. "You're incredible, Ferdinand. Getting close to someone who could have easily died. But you weren't going to let that happen, were you?" Ferdinand sighed. "There's nothing incredible about not wanting to watch a little child die." "True, but you were the one who stopped it." His chest tightened, flooding him with a dull, aching pain. "Please stop. Why do you always do this?" "Do what?" "You're always telling me I'm amazing for doing things anyone could do. There's nothing praiseworthy about me. Please stop. It hurts." She hugged him with one arm, wrapping him in nothingness. "You can't even fathom how wrong you are." Her words made some place deep inside him ache.